So in this video we're just going to walk through the general structure and how to configure the solution for the Harrow tenancy management system. Before doing this, we'll have a quick wander through what the end solution looks like on the device. So we've got a representation of the mobile device here and the system in the background. So we'll run through end to end. So we'll just search for a customer first. So on the device at the moment there's no data whatsoever. So I'm basically just sending a signal back to the servers to essentially request the file out for that customer. It creates what the system calls a visit. This is all configurable, it has to be said. However, in this case it's going to create a visit. So we've basically now got this data on the device and we could operate locally if needed. This is just confirming that we've got the right customer here, and then we're going to confirm that we're now starting on this activity or visit. So this screen basically just is us saying, right, we're now active on here, and there's a menu item on here called tenancy management. So the core process here starts by us picking which process we're working on. The things that we do under each of these can overlap if we like. So the idea here is to try and make it easy and allow the system to default all the right values and processes in for things. So this is a list of processes that we've got. We're going to go in a minute and have a look at where all this is set up. So we've got really simple things here, like an arrears visit, one activity underneath it. Virtually all of these have got one activity underneath, and in each case there's a menu. And the only thing we can do in this case is complete the repairs, the rent arrears form. So these are all just your mobile forms, and that's the only option that we've got under that process. We can just abort these forms if we want to. So if we come back here, so we've then got some more involved things. So we might have a 9-month conversion visit, again one item under here and a menu. Menu, bad example because this has only got one form again. So we might go into the introductory initial tenancy visit. Again, one item in here. I've already completed something in here before, so this is telling me that last time we did this there was a breach report for laminate flooring, so that's been submitted, it's been completed. Same deal, so on the menu these are the options that we have. So in virtually all cases the structure is the same. So we go into a process and there's one core form, and the core form is the initial tenancy visit checklist, and we've seen one of those on the other example. In this one, in addition, in filling this form in, it's possible that a number of referrals are generated. So the referral itself will be generated by filling the main form in. So in each case, for the operational side, everything is all in one. So we fill in the main form, that will capture the data, generate the form, and at the same time generate any referrals, email that information off to whoever it needs to be emailed off to. When we finish the main form, we then just need to confirm the referrals that we did. The reason we need to do this is because filling in this main form with multiple referrals is not possible to have the system automatically create the underlying actions, which are the things we're going to report from. So we would just come along and confirm that we did a referral, and all we would do here is just say finish every time. So the form is just, and then now we've got another action added to this case file. So on the 16th of July we reported laminate flooring. Now we've visited again, same date because I just did this demonstration earlier, same date, and we've created a referral to the caretaker. So as before, so the caretaker will have been notified of this as a result of filling in the main form, not of us pressing this confirm button. The confirm generates this action here. So this is what the system calls an action. So it's got a type. The type is what we use to allow us to report, so we can say how many referrals of this type. The status is how many of this type that are not completed yet. So it's up to you whether we create these as raised or completed. And then obviously the owner, as in the person. This is just defaulting in as the person I'm logged in as, and then everything has a target date. If we say it's completed, then the target date is today. If we say that it's open and we want follow-up, then the system would calculate a target date to say, okay, this needs to be followed up within a week, within 2 weeks, whatever you want. One of the examples is more complicated. So the tenancy audit, instead of just having one sort of sub-process, has got a whole series of sub-processes here. And each of these has then got exactly the same once we get in, but there are just more sub-processes. So it's got a main form, and then we just confirm again. So it's all very much the same process again and again. We just come along, run a form. Each one, there's the form that we need to run, and then we're just confirming the things that we will have done within the main form. Okay, so these are the processes at the top. So what we're now going to do is just go and have a look at how that's set up. So I've created a very basic slide deck that I'll send over as part of the information with the video link. But basically the top level entity is a customer, so this is your tenancy. We saw this when we went create the visit and pick the customer. Within the visit we then choose from a range of processes. Within the system these are set up as tenancy management types. Within here we then, for each one we go into, we then presented with a set of options, and so the options are intelligent based on the process. All each option does is run a survey. So you pick something off the option and it runs a survey, and the survey is a form. So we pick something off the menu, we then get a form. The form allows us to collect some information, generates the referrals, and depending on the type of form, we might then have the confirm type of form, which will actually then generate the action, and the action is the thing that we're going to put on a dashboard and use to tell us how everybody's working. Okay, so that's the base structure. Within this slide deck, there's then sort of illustrations of the things that we've just stepped through. So the list of processes, the menu options, the form itself, the other type of form, which is just the confirm that creates the action, and then the action has been created at the end. And then if you can come and have a look at here, sort of some explanation of how that's all set up. So what we're going to do is actually go and have a look at how this is set up in the system. So if we come in and look, everything is either going to be under tenancy management and actions here, or survey and form config. So these two are going to work together. So under tenancy management and actions, so the core process list that we were looking at, so that list, let's just flip you back here. So this list here, where we've got the ASB, the arrears visit, the tenancy audit. So these are what are called tenancy management types. So if you're looking in the database, these would be need types. So this is really just a list. This is just a list of the tenancy management types. If you're creating a new one, then just come into one of these and copy the way that it's been set up. Most of the information in here is all the same on all of these. We're not really using many of the options under here. In this slide deck, it does explain if you create a new process, then you need to come in and step your way through these other elements and create these, but this is explained in the slides, so quite straightforward. It's just a question of coming in and copying as you go. So we have to have tenancy action, the action statuses. So if you'd created a new, so you'd come in and each one of these has got three. We've got one for raised, one for completed, and for a status update. So you'd need to come along and create, if you created a new process, you'd need to come in and create the three statuses. And again, there's a note on this in here. Okay, so step one is we're going to come along and we're going to create the need structure. This all exists in your environment. So the tenancy management action types, these are all the referrals. So these are all the things we're going to report on. So under ASB or the conversion or whatever, so for each of the processes, we've got a series of actions that we can carry out. Not sure that is actually sorted on those. Okay, so in a 15-month, basically, there aren't any actions we've got raised. There's no referrals coming out of here. But if we go and do an ASB visit, there's a whole range of different actions, housing officer actions, complainant actions. So all of these are actions that we can then dashboard and report. These will all be triggered by us having that option on a menu, confirming it, and that will then create the action. So that's what the actions are. So the actions are one of the more important pieces. This is probably the piece that you might find yourself editing. So if you tweaked a form so that there was a new type of referral, you would need to come in and create the action on it. So how that all then gels together. So when we come in, we then get a menu which controls the set of options that we have. So where the menu is sat is under survey and form config. So under survey and form config, so the surveys and forms here, these are the actual definition, that's what it sounds like. So these are the definition of the forms. So rent undertaking here. So we've then got, we can see the structure up here. We need to look at it. I'm not going to try and cover in this video how we actually tweak and design. It's pretty straightforward. So this is how this form's been designed, and that will then render onto the mobile device. So there'll be a separate tutorial that covers off how videos are defined. But the two items that we need down here are the mobile survey menus and the mobile survey menu items. So the first thing you need to do is come along and create the mobile survey menus. So the things that we actually see here, this menu set that's created here, the actual display label comes from this list here. So the mobile survey menus, and this is just our display list. It doesn't do anything. When you create one, you literally are just typing in the name, nothing else, and then that's going to be used in the next level down. Right, so the clever level where it all comes together is here. So a mobile survey menu item. This is really where you build the system. So if you remember, we've basically come in here and we've picked a process, and the process is a tenancy management type. And then when we pick a process, we get a menu. So how that happened is that we've created an entry here. So let's look at this property and repairs issues. So this is one of our processes. So property and repairs issues is one of our processes. Actually, it's one of our processes under tenancy audit. So, but it's one of our sub processes. So we've got a sub process called tenancy and repairs issue. And when we go into there, we're going to get a set of menu. We're going to get a menu option. So if I filter this down so that we're only looking at the these are all the sub processes under here. So we'll just quickly filter this. Then if I sort here, that's going to give me the same view that I've got on the tablet. So my top item on the tablet is going to be the main form. So in this case here, this entry here, we're just coming along and we're saying, okay, tenancy management template, this means the process. So I'll have a quick look at the template in a sec, but basically the templates are a one-to-one to the process. So for each process, there's a template. That's the thing that we saw here. So this thing here, we don't really even engage with it, but this comes out of a template. So this is what the system actually calls a need. So under the process, there's a particular need or a process. So we're basically saying if I click on the item called property and repairs issues, I want there to be a menu, and this is just a reference to the labels that we've got set up. So these are the different templates, which are the processes that we've got. And then if I pick that menu item, I want to run this form. So this is the list of all the forms. So you're basically just coming down this hierarchy and saying, if I go into that process and I pick this sub item, then run this form. And that's as simple as it is. And setting those three things will give us this menu. So, and the example I've just shown you is this top one here, where all I'm doing is just wiring those three things together. These three, which is where we want to then create an action, need just one extra layer. So if I pick one of these that's got a confirm, so in this case it's exactly the same. I'm basically saying if I go into that process and I pick that menu item, then I want to run this form. In this case, this is just a generic form that I use on all of these, which has got nothing on it. All it's got on it is a button that says, yes, I confirm. However, in this case, we've ticked this field here that says audit, survey and form. If I tick that, that means when I complete this form, create an action. That's what ticking this box means. And then down the bottom, all we're doing is saying, right, well, what type of action? So this is the big list. This is all the possible actions that we could create under the property and repairs issues. So I'm saying, because I've because I've run this particular option, confirm a breach report of property condition, I'm going to set the action to be property condition breach. So it happens automatically in the background. The user just gets this form, in this case just a button that says yes, and in the background the system goes, I know that means I need to create an action of type. So in here, action type is this, and then you've got an option of whether you're going to create it as, really you're just saying, is it completed or raised? The difference here is, if I say it's completed, that just means I filled the form in, I want a record of the fact I filled the form in, it will have emailed somebody a referral. I want to be able to do a widget on a dashboard that says how many tenancy breaches did we raise. If I say it was raised, then I would also come in and say a number of days to give that person to complete that activity. So raised is better in that it gives you an extra layer of functionality, but it's only worth doing if the person who raises this referral is going to be responsible for following it up and closing it off. If you just operate fire and forget, you wouldn't use this, and you'll have a mix. So some of the referrals you do, there won't be any follow-up. You just want to record that you created it, in which case you'd set it as complete. Some of them, the housing officer will be responsible for making sure that that happens. So in that scenario, you'd set it to be raised. And in this case, what that's going to do is going to create an action with a target completion date of 7 days forward. So this now allows us to build a widget that says how many property condition breaches do we have that we haven't closed off. So how many of those incidents have we got, rather than just a sort of really dull thing which says, well, how many did we raise? This is now one that says, well, how many haven't we closed off, and who's holding them? Are they overdue? Are they coming due? Because on the widget you could say, what I want is anything where the target date is within a couple of days. So that's how this is all set up. So really, these mobile survey menu items is where everything is pulled together. Mobile survey menus just is because we've predefined this particular layer, the display piece of it is predefined, and the need and action types should all be predefined for you. But if you need to create a new one, then there's some notes on the slide, and you can just look at the existing ones to see what to do. That's how it all comes together. I hope that's been useful.